Good morning and welcome to Presence of Light with Charlie Riverman. Once again, it's a pleasure to be here, to speak with you, to share with you parts of my journey, parts of our journey, blessings, prayers, and just an open heart. I think that we all can use a little bit of open-heartedness in these days where we see so much trouble and chaos and confusion going on around us. As I mentioned in one of my postings about the week, it has been sort of not very cohesive. A lot of messages have come through, mostly of how I and all of us are relating not only to the world around us, not only to each other, but to ourselves. I just wanted to take a moment at this point to do an opening prayer. And so if we just take a brief moment as we gather and listen to the heart resonance in this little brief prayer. This morning, let us acknowledge the forces of light, our galactic families, and the elementals. Let us ask for guidance, direction, and courage to know the truth from within the inner chambers of our hearts, allowing our highest good and the highest good of all to be shared without restriction and in balance. I love you. I thank you. I respect you. And I'm complete. Those last three words are what Dr. Emoto blessed the water with, that changed its crystalline structure. And many of you know that I'm part of a wonderful group on Facebook and the internet and around the world called Loving Waters, where we're dedicated to blessing the water in all and in everything. We're actually somewhat guardians of the water, and we encourage others to share with us the passion for water. We are water. Mother Earth is water. Everything. It's water is life is the saying, and it's the truth. And in my own personal practice, those three statements that Dr. Emoto blessed the water with and changed the crystalline structure of it, I've been working with that within myself, and I've been blessing the water within myself. And it's funny how we take for granted so many things in life. And when we actually do a simple practice, just a daily sort of meditation or a daily process, we as humans seem to always want to elaborate and make a bigger deal out of things than they actually need to be. And so what I've found is those three simple statements: I love you, I thank you, I respect you, have actually altered the water and the crystalline structure within myself. And that's hard to explain, but what it's done is allowed me to go deeper within myself And so today I'd like to talk about that, a little about going deeper into ourselves. I think the interesting thing for me was that this week I came up with helplessness and hopelessness was the two words that hit me first the beginning of the week. And I says, that's strange. This is what I'm reading in the field is helplessness and hopelessness. And whenever I read energies in the field, they're obviously a reflection of what I'm feeling as well. And so the grand journey really is within us. All of life that's happening outside of us and around us is really calling us to pay attention to what we're processing within us and to know that there is no separation. There never has been. We are one, we are united. And we're united through the water. The water carries the memory of all pain and suffering. The water carries the memory of all of humanity's trials and tribulations. And so too, the water outside of us has this memory, and the water within us has this memory. And we need to, at this time in our lives, is get in touch with that water. We were birthed in water. Within the womb, we were in water. And that water around us affected us to this day in our life. And I'll share a little personal story, which I like to do during these things, is that when I was in my mother's womb, the doctors told her that she had a tumor because she was older and couldn't conceive. And so the doctors told her that I was a tumor. And I carried that memory. It's still within my DNA. It's still affecting my DNA, even though I've become aware of it. And it produces a lot of issues within me as far as self-respect of, am I good enough? These were some of the notes that I wrote down. And it's amazing how being in the water and receiving that energetic vibration of my mother's worries, my mother's fears within me, still to this day at 68 years old, I can go back there into the womb and still feel her anguish, her pain, and her suffering. This is the connection each one of us have. We have it to our siblings, we have it to our parents, we have it to our grandparents. The memory is carried through the water, and it never changes until we actually act upon it. So this week has been some of the messages were facing fears. Let me see if I my notes here. Embracing change. Who are you? Responsibility. Am I good enough? Where is your trauma? And so for all of you out there, I'm sure that each of you are experiencing these same questions, because this is what the water is bringing up. This is what the hurricanes, the floods, the tragedies that are happening around the world to so many people are bringing up for each of us is what's going on? What's happening? Is this the end of the world? Maybe the end of the world as we have known it, but it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of humanity, and it's certainly not the end of you. Because each of us are light. We are light. We are the light energy. So I said in the opening, the forces of light. We are the forces of light in this world. And I'm sure on my video, you'll see the light, whatever side it's on. I wanted that window open. I wanted you to see that light. And I wanted you to know that this is who you are. You are light. I am light. We are light. There is no separation in any of us. The thing that troubles me today is that I think I wrote it as a quantum, what was it, a unsettled quotient. It was an unsettled quotient. And I said, where did that come from? And my guides tell me, because that's what we're going through, as an unsettled quotient, the possibility of everything shifting and changing. And it's very unsettling. And right now it's sort of something we're figuring out. We don't know what the answer is. And how do we keep moving forward when we don't know what the answer is? What I find is we have to trust. Who do we trust? We have to trust ourselves. The bottom line is that each of us have to dig deep within our hearts and trust our own abilities to discern, to reason, to gather in uncertainty and bring forth the highest part of ourselves, even if we don't know what that is, but to strive to be the best that we know how to be in all situations, every day, every minute, every moment we're thinking. This is a great challenge. This is a great challenge, because as we do that, we'll start to see inconsistencies within ourselves. And they're truly a gift. They're not something we should fear. What it is we are actually showing ourselves exactly where and what we need to work on. We have a brain that has all kinds of grand ideas. It generates grand ideas. That's its job. The ego mind loves to pat itself on the back. It loves to aggrandize everything it does. And that's what it does. That's the nature of the ego. It really is beautiful. It makes life very rich. But it's not the truth of who we are. Who we are, really, is something deeper within us. And unfortunately, we've lived in a world and created a world that pampered the ego, that fed the ego, that fed all of this self-aggrandizement. And what have we got? We've become greedy. We've become selfish. We've become uncaring. We dismiss everything. And when you look around the internet, you look around the world, you see people who are angry. They're filled with hatred. They want to ridicule somebody. There's trolls. There's people who just, they wake up in the morning and just say, who can I piss off today? I'm sad that they have to live like that. Because the truth is, they don't have to. Neither do we. Years ago, I was not the person you see talking to you today. I was very centered in my ego. It was damaged, very severely damaged, and I was a very reactionary person. I acted out in anger, I acted out in pain, I acted out in frustration. There are things that I have done that I truly regret, having said, having done. I came to a point in my life where I wanted to end it. I became very suicidal. I chose to do it through alcohol. Alcohol was my mother's choice of suicide. I grew up with this woman who had so much pain and chose to commit suicide through alcohol. And it took her years of illness, years of pain, years of suffering. And I witnessed this. So there's my background. How do I get out of that? Well, I didn't. And when horrible things happened to me, I was divorced, I ended up bankrupt. I too saw no reason to live. And my story, as you know, was I had a motorcycle accident, and the night that I died, I was out drinking and fighting and doing what I would do. And my spirit guides took me across a river. And I laugh because I couldn't bless the river until I was ready to. And this is 20 years after I died, after crossing it. And they crossed me over the big river to the light. And in that moment, I truly, in actuality, succeeded in my suicide mission. However, for most who do that, they don't come back. Not for a long time. And I was given an opportunity to be here with you. This angel pin you see here was given to me. The name Riverman was given to me, not something I chose to do from the ego. My sitting here talking to you is a gift that I have been guided to do. And the result is all from going to the light, becoming the peace, and becoming the love of that which creates everything, all things. It can't be known by the ego. It cannot be understood by the mind. It cannot be controlled. It can only be embraced. The only place we can embrace it is through our hearts. So this is why I'm called an earth angel. And I was given the name Riverman because my energy flows like a river. And the woman who made these 8 earth angel pins, when I met her, she saw me as the light I was and said, I have been waiting for you. And at that time, I had no concept of what the hell she was talking about. There was no concept of spirituality for me. There was no concept of anything that I talk about today, because I had technically just died, and through suicidal wishes, and come back. And this was all completely, amazingly profound to be back here And the question for me, the big question, what the hell do I do now? What do I do now? And I didn't have clue one. So I'll share a bit of my story, about 10 minutes left, is following that passage was I became homeless. And I've told this to children in groups of homelessness and remember being homeless and not having anything to eat. And I remember somebody gave me $10 and I went to the grocery store, didn't know what to buy. I did have at that time, a place to live, but still no money, no income. And I bought chicken livers. And for those of you who may like chicken livers, bless you, I still eat them, and a lot of people don't. But this is, the message is that I had only $10 and I needed to buy something that was going to sustain me for the least amount of money. And so chicken livers were 59 cents a pound. And that's what I bought. I bought a little bag of flour and so now I had food that would last me a little while. So as I sit before you here, my message today is that unsettled quotient is life. Life is an unsettled quotient within each of us, whether we're homeless, whether we're suicidal, whether we're just angry, whether we're suffering from our own inability to manifest something that we know we truly should, and also the fear of speaking about who we truly are and living it. That's the unsettled quotient. Synonyms for the word unsettled are lacking stability, confusion, shifting, unnerving, insecure, and unbalanced. When we're unsettled, those are the energies. The gift is we're much more than that. We can overcome all of that just by settling into our hearts. And a quotient is basically a computation or a result, a comprehension or discernment, understanding, or just a segment in a long line of fractals. Each of you, wherever you are, however you feel about yourself and your relationship to yourself and the world around you, I want you to know that you are the most powerful light force, and you are being called upon to activate yourself. Yeah, that's a lot to sink in. Activate yourself. I can't activate you. Your next door neighbor's not going to activate you. Everybody can trigger you, but we can't activate you. Only you can activate the light in you. And so my message today is, my message for myself is to activate. Be of service. Show up. Show us your light. We're waiting for you. We're looking for you. I want you to be here in your full presence. Think about that this week. Who are you? What are you? Where are you? And know within your heart that there's so much more you have to give the world, because that's what you came here to do. It isn't just to buy stuff and play on cell phones and amuse yourself. All of those things happen, but that's not who you really are. The world is waiting. The children are waiting. There are children coming in who will be looking for you. We need you. We love you. We thank you. And we respect you. Yes, that's a deep sigh. It's a deep sigh of gratitude for each of you. And I would like to just close my morning message with a prayer by Natalie Glasson, which I read this morning. And I said, wow, this is beautiful. I'd like to do it on my show. And so in ending and closing, I bless you. And this prayer, which is from my heart to yours. May all feel the warm embrace of the energies of Archangel Raphael and the Venus beings. May light fill their hearts, mind, and emotions. May love fuel their actions and peace fuel their existence. When there is harm, let there be a kind touch. When there is fear, let there be a compassionate mind. And when there is hate and anger, let there be loving hearts. For it is a kind touch, a compassionate mind, and a loving heart that will heal the earth and her humanity, dissolving all suffering. With my love and truth, I encourage all to be the healing that the earth and humanity needs right now. As I exist in the world, I know myself to be the kind touch, compassionate mind, and loving heart that heals myself and the earth. I am a kind touch, a compassionate mind, and a loving heart in action. Let the light in. Thank you, Natalie, for that beautiful message this morning. And bless you all during your week. Allow the light to infuse in you all the energies that you need to move you, to activate you into who you truly are. Thank you for your presence. Have a great week. And we'll see you next Friday. Thank you for being here. And I will respond to some of your messages during the week. And feel free to contact me any way you can. Blessings of peace, light, and love from my heart to yours. Thank you. And I promise I will save this time. Still human. I make mistakes. Love you. Bye-bye.